Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand. In the room, the loudest speaks first. He waves a deck, spins a story, laughs too hard at his own lines. Heads turn, messages ping. For a moment he fills the air, then a quiet figure arrives 5 minutes late, takes one seat, and says little. When she does speak, decisions shift. Calendars move. The room reorders itself. Noise caught attention. Rarity moved power. You feel the difference like weather. One is a gust, the other a pressure front. Status is not something they discover in you. It is something you stage, pace, and guard. Charm persuades today. Structure rules for years. Look again at the unseen ladder. The bottom rungs are crowded with gestures, constant availability, quick replies, endless, yes. Higher up, the steps are further apart. People stand with space around them. Their time is expensive, their appearance is scheduled, their access gated. You may not like it, but your feelings do not vote here. Scarcity sets rank because scarcity forces choice. When you are rare, people plan. When you are constant, people coast. The room does not reward volume. It rewards control of arrival and exit. Respect is engineered long before talent is measured. Cadence creates belief. A weekly memo at the same hour beats a brilliant note sent at random. Boundaries create shape. Office hours tell the crowd when the bridge is down and when it is up. Ceremony creates memory. A one-pager before every meeting becomes a ritual that signals seriousness before you enter. Authority is a drum, not a trumpet. Repetition, timing, and restraint. You are not building myth, you are building a schedule other people can predict and therefore must respect. Do not confuse charm for command. Charm is a flash. Command is a framework. Decide your windows, announce them. Keep them. Decide your channels, enforce them. Put the weight of your work behind consistent doors and you will find people lining up there. The ones who wanted to bypass the line were never allies. They were tourists. The ones who plan with you become partners because the rhythm itself makes them dependable. Now the bill for niceness. Being good to everyone looks generous and feels safe. It is also a ledger that bleeds. Calendar theft begins with "got a sec" and ends with 45 minutes lost to someone else's urgency. Price erosion begins with "just this once" and ends with "that's what you usually do." Favors forgotten begin with applause and end with silence when you ask for terms. You believe you are earning loyalty, you are subsidizing convenience. Audit the hidden costs. Instant replies teach others to delay decisions because your speed will rescue them. Uncapped help trains teams to skip preparation because you will fix it live. Discount habits tell buyers your number is pretend. The market is not plotting against you, it is adapting to you. Your policy, even when unspoken, educates everyone around you. If you keep paying with time, they will keep buying with flattery. The cure is not cruelty, it is construction. Engineer the picture before they meet the work. Publish response windows and keep them like tides. Require a brief before a meeting. Bring a one-page summary to every call and end on next steps you control. Arrive on a schedule. Depart on time. A door that closes when it should earns more respect than a door that never does. You are not withholding, you are teaching. Understand, talent without timing is ignored. Brilliance without boundaries is exhausted. Popularity without policy becomes penance. What the room believes about you is built by what the room experiences from you over and over, until even your enemies must nod. You do not need to be feared. You need to be forecastable. Forecastable people bend calendars, and calendars bend budgets, and budgets bend behavior. If you want a different rung, stop shouting and start staging. Control when you appear. Control how they enter. Control what happens before you speak and after you leave. The myth of unfiltered authenticity is a tax you cannot afford. Filters are not lies, they are lenses. Choose yours. Keep it steady. In time, the quiet figure who says little will move more than the loud figure who says much. In time, you will. Design the gate, and the room will rise to meet it. Warm words are tools. They fit the lock you forgot to change. You were told that speed and sweetness buy loyalty. Be first to reply, say yes before they finish asking. Shave the price to get started, and the bond will deepen. But courts and markets are colder than that. People often praise you the moment before they try to move your line. The sentence is syrup. The request is steel. Your brain lights up at the compliment and misses the clause that cost you sleep. This is not romance. It is technique. If you want respect, you must learn to separate dopamine from devotion. Watch the sugar of praise in motion. You're amazing. No one turns things around like you. Then comes the ask, could you just fit in one more round this weekend? The sweetness lands first, low friction, high hit. Your thumbs answer before your spine does. Another scene, we love your vision, your family to us. The follow-up, can you extend the discount one more month, or this one? Only you understand this product. The hidden key, could you hop on a call now? It's Sunday, but quick. The words are gifts that open your gate, then remove the hinges. You feel special when you're called essential. That is the trap. Essential means available on demand. Essential means your boundaries belong to them. Praise, repeated often enough, becomes a currency you accept instead of cash. You start to offer unbilled calls to protect the story they tell about you. You start to waive the rush fee because you like the way lifesaver sounds. You confuse being admired with being protected. Devotion pays deposits. Dopamine pays in emojis. Break the association with simple tests. When praise arrives, move the conversation to terms. Thank you. Here's the scope change and the fee. If the warmth was respect, it will remain when the price appears. If it was sugar, it will melt and leave a ring. Do this 3 times and watch your data, not your feelings. The pattern is clean, real partners adapt. Opportunists pivot to pressure. Now measure love versus leverage at the moment of limit. Not now is the exam everyone pretends they are ready for. In surplus, everyone is kind. At the boundary, motives speak. You set a response window, 24 hours for retainers, 48 for new inquiries. The respectful plan ahead. The manipulative escalate, that's it, bumping this, any update, sent 1 hour after the first message. You set a deposit policy, those who value the result pay. Those who valued your anxiety invent emergencies to guilt you into starting so we don't lose momentum. Watch what happens when you say no to the discount, or yes to the work at the published rush rate. The sincere move pieces on their side, budget, timeline, approvals, because they want the outcome. The others move levers on yours, flattery, urgency, guilt, because they want control. This is the cleanest diagnostic you will ever have. A boundary is a mirror. It shows you who is standing there. Consider 3 small stories. A startup founder praises your ownership, then asks for Monday delivery on Saturday night. You send the rush tier. If the founder respects you, they choose it or shift the launch. If they argue, you had a power problem, not a calendar problem. Second, a friend turned client says, we trust you completely, then forwards a cheaper quote to keep you competitive. If trust was real, the smaller scope option will satisfy them. If it was leverage, they will push for your full package at the new price. Third, a brand calls your taste elite, then schedules over your day off without notice. You offer the next available slot, respect rebooks, leverage sulks. Comfort as control is the quiet engine of devaluation. Ease trains the court to treat your time as a smooth road. If you are always open, they will arrive unprepared. If you are always fast, they will be late on purpose. Your speed absorbs their drift. If you remove every hurdle, they will never learn to step. None of this requires malice. It is physics. Water follows the path of least resistance. So do people. See the common caselets clearly. Ignored invoices lost in the system, then paid the day after you threatened to pause work, because only cost spoke a language the system understands. Circling back emails that live for weeks, but answers arrive within hours, once the proposal expiry date approaches, because only consequence created decision. Scope creeps sold as minor tweaks, but the moment you point to the revision cap, requests condense into a single thoughtful pass, because only friction made them prioritize. Friendliness without friction invites exploitation, because it shifts all discipline to you. You become the planner for those who refuse to plan. You become the risk carrier for those who do not budget risk. You become the calendar they write in pencil. You are not punished for being kind. You are penalized for removing cost. The market respects price, time, and loss. If you will not represent them, it will test you until you do. The remedy is not to freeze your heart. It is to route warmth through policy. Keep your voice warm. Keep your rules visible. When someone says, "You're amazing," you say, "Here is the link to book." When they say, "We're family," you say, "Here are my terms." When they say, "Only you can do this now," you say, "Here is the rush rate." If the relationship is real, it will pass through the gate and come out intact. If it is theater, the curtain will fall without you having to pull it. Rehearse your lines until they feel like breathing. Appreciate the kind words. This change affects price and timeline. Happy to help. Work begins at deposit. I reply during office hours for urgency. Choose a rush option. These are not attitudes. They are instruments. They tune the room before you play. They teach your nervous system that safety comes from structure, not from making yourself small. They teach the court that your respect can be purchased only with the coin of respect. You can still be generous. Offer a pro bono slot with real scope. Add a surprise upgrade for clients who honor timelines. Help friends inside a container, not as an escape from your own rules. Generosity with a ledger multiplies. Generosity as a leak sinks the ship. The difference is whether your kindness travels on rails you designed or in a flood you will soon resent. Name the reality and win your time back. Availability buys applause. Boundaries buy allegiance. Praise is welcome at the door. Policy sits on the throne. If someone loves you for access, they loved a version of you that served their panic. If someone respects you for outcomes, they will accept the gate that protects the outcome. The myth was that love appears when you are easy. The truth is that respect appears when you are clear. Accept the compliment, keep the cost. Your smile is a treaty your will never ratified. You look composed. You sound helpful. You move fast so no one has time to doubt you. But the ledger inside you shows the truth. Every easy yes is a small abdication you did not choose. The fear chose for you, fear of rejection, hunger to be needed, dread of conflict. These are not feelings that pass through. They are ministers who draft your laws when you avert your eyes. You think you are being polite. In fact, you are being ruled. The agreeable mask is elegant. It fits without a seam. You wear it to the call, to the room, to the late-night text, buzzing on your nightstand. You answer with warmth because silence feels like danger. They say, "You're a lifesaver," and the mask tightens a notch. You accept the timeline you didn't set. You apologize for the boundaries you haven't even spoken. You fill empty space with competence so quickly that people forget emptiness ever served a purpose to make others prepare. Your smile becomes a bridge. Everyone drives across it without slowing. Look closely at the minutes you never count. You write a thorough reply when a single sentence would do. You join the meeting 15 minutes early because it's good optics. You end each email with 3 optional slots. Then say you're flexible. You apologize for the price that merely reflects the cost of doing the work well. You take responsibility for confusion you didn't cause, and then you solve it so the court learns the simplest fix for chaos is you. The mask is a marvel. It is also a muzzle. Under it lives a child who learned that usefulness buys shelter. Approval became your armor. A raised eyebrow from a client feels like winter coming. A compliment feels like firewood. You rush to keep the camp warm. You lower the price to keep the circle close. Meanwhile, the city that bears your name begins to look like a frontier town. No walls, no customs, all welcome. You mistake the crowd for safety. You mistake motion for authority. Now watch anxiety, pick up a pen and legislate. The laws arrive as short lines, urgent and polite. Free rush, so they see you care. Unbilled call to keep the tone friendly. Weekend work, because the launch depends on you. Extra round, tiny tweaks. No need to invoice. Discount for now, you sell, raise it later. Scope stretch, because the CEO is excited. Instant reply, so they know you steer committed. Waive deposit, because finance is a little slow. Each concession feels like a smart move in the moment, a small payment for long-term trust. In practice, each becomes precedent. Your for now hardens into brand. Your just this once translates to always. Your open door becomes their emergency exit. They are not cruel, they are efficient. The shortest path is through your fear. Anxiety governs like a panicked prince. It buys calm today with taxes on tomorrow. It calls your private depletion relationship building. It calls your public flexibility reputation. It calls your exhaustion momentum. It promises that the next win will allow you to enforce the rules you ignore now. It lies. A state ruled by panic is a state of exemptions, and exemptions are how barbarians enter a city that once had walls. So ask the question you avoid. Who governs you? Is it policy or is it appetite? Machiavelli wrote for princes, but the first principality is your day. If your law is written by cravings, be liked, be needed, be chosen, you will be efficiently managed by anyone who knows how to feed them. They will call your reduced price a partnership. They will call your after-hours effort ownership. They will call your absence of boundaries a great culture fit. They will speak in a language that flatters your wound and empties your treasury. Self-mastery is not therapy jargon here. It is statecraft. It begins with jurisdiction over the next 12 hours. You do not need to solve childhood in order to stop selling your evenings. You need to replace reflex with ritual. You need to replace apology with architecture. Policy is not punishment, it is protection. A post at the gate is not a snarl, it is a lamp. Rehearse the turn. The message arrives, can you jump on in 10? Your hand reaches for yes. Pause. Identify the minister trying to sign the decree. Fear of disapproval. Thank it for its service. Deny it authority. Route the request through your constitution. Happy to help. Here is the booking link. I'm available Thursday at 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. The sentence is simple. The effect is structural. You teach yourself that safety lives in procedure, not in bending. Do the same with price. Praise lands. You're brilliant. We want you on this. But the budget is tight. The wound hears. They love me. Policy hears. They want a discount. Answer in your native law. Appreciate the kind words. Here are 3 scopes at 3 prices. Work begins at deposit. You are not cold, you are clear. If love is real, it will pay the toll that keeps the bridge standing. The mask will beg for exceptions. Offer corridors, not holes. Rush work exists. Price it double for 48 hours. Triple for nights and weekends. Friendship exists. Limit favors to a defined program with visible capacity. Emergencies exists. Route them through a form that forces the other side to think before they spend you. Your fear will call this unfriendly. Your future will call this survival. Understand the enemy is not the client, the team, or the friend who wants more for less. The enemy is the unruled need that moves your hand faster than your judgment. That is why rivals can command you without ever raising their voice. They do not need to threaten. They just need to praise. They do not need to argue. They just need to say quick. They do not need to conquer. They just need to call it efficient. You will slip. You will say yes too quickly and feel the old heat crawl up your neck. Do not write a paragraph of regret. Write an amendment. I started early. Going forward, work begins at deposit. Here is the invoice. The court learns the new rule from the correction, not the confession. The people who respect you will remain. The ones who resented you for not being free will leave. You lost nothing. You lost liabilities. Build signals that outrun your words. Publish office hours and keep them as if the tide depended on you. Require a brief before a call. Limit cohorts, cap revisions, set expiry dates on proposals. These are not obstacles to love. They are how love survives the road. A traveler who pays the toll also pays attention. A traveler who crosses for free throws litter. When the ache for approval spikes, sit at the edge of your city and count. Count paid deposits, not compliments. Count delivered outcomes, not opened emails. Count nights of sleep, not nights of sprinting to rescue someone else's poor planning. Numbers are colder than feelings and warmer than self-deception. They are the only ambassadors your wound respects. Finally, adopt the stance of a just ruler, approachable at the gate, immovable at the law. Speak warmly, decide slowly, enforce quickly. Reward behavior that honors the state, timely payments, clear briefs, realistic timelines, with speed and surprise upgrades. Penalize drift automatically. Restart fees, late approval charges, calendar rebooking without heat. This is not pettiness. This is the geometry that keeps the bridge from collapsing under people who never learned to break. You do not need to erase the wound. You need to dethrone it. Let it speak, then send it from the chamber. The laws have been read aloud. The city knows them. The guards know them. You know them. When praise arrives, nod in present terms. When urgency knocks, open the matrix. When guilt puts on the face of love, point to the calendar. It will feel at first like a small betrayal of the version of you that survived by saying yes. In time, it will feel like heat returning to a home that has been cold for years. Rule yourself as you wish to be treated. In the mirror of your boundaries, others will see how to stand. Some will turn away, searching for softer roads. Let them. The rest will take off their shoes before entering, because they know a temple when they see one. And in that quiet, your work will rise to meet the respect you finally require of it. Be gracious at the door and sovereign on the throne. The collapse arrives quietly, like a clerk with a ledger you forgot you signed. You open your inbox and see your own handwriting everywhere. Promises made at midnight. No problem stamped where there was a problem. A calendar patched with other people's emergencies. Coffee cools while you scroll through praise that preceded a discount, gratitude that preceded a demand, charm that preceded a rush. The pain is clean because it is honest. You trained them. You taught the room that your time was negotiable. You wrapped the lesson in kindness and called it culture. Now you face the bill burnout with a smile. The ledger of humiliations runs like a montage, cut too fast to watch. A proposal written over 3 late nights fades into circling back with no signature. A founder calls you a lifesaver, then forgets the rush fee as if you misremembered your own law. A producer invites you for reach, books you over dinner, and pays with exposure that exposes nothing. Finance didn't see the invoice until you threatened to pause, and suddenly wires move like water. A cheerful teammate says, "Tiny tweak," and hands you a new draft. The soundtrack is applause. The rhythm is extraction. Another scene, a brand raves about your taste, forwards a cheaper quote, and asks you to stay competitive. A friend turned client calls you family, then delays the deposit with a sad paragraph about cash flow. The next day they post a new hire. Someone sends quick thoughts and receives a page of consulting. You don't bill because you mistake velocity for virtue. Somewhere between emoji and urgency, your spine disappears from your sentences. The ledger does not accuse, it itemizes. You don't need outrage, you need arithmetic. Pressure climbs in the body where you cannot spin it. The jaw locks at the words, "quick favor." Breath shortens at bumping this. Shoulders rise when the subject line says update. You are not simply tired, you are mortgaged. You prepaid for belonging, with hours you do not have, and interest you cannot carry. The result is a personality split. You can hear in your own voice, warm in public, frayed in private, smiling while you calculate the true price of being good to work with. Here is the fracture. Rare by bio, common by behavior. Your profile sings scarcity. Your actions perform abundance. You tell the world you are selective. You answer like a switchboard. You post about boundaries. You apologize for keeping one. You talk like a jeweler, then run your stall like a street vendor. Open early, negotiate always, stay late. Scarcity marketed and abundance delivered is not strategy. It is dissonance. The body feels it first. The market feels it next. Respect does not grow in contradiction. It grows in consistency. Even when the crowd complains, make the contradiction physical. You enter a meeting and speak with careful words, but your calendar screams you are available to anyone who pushes. You send a polished deck that communicates precision, then accept a sloppy scope that contradicts it. You ask for a brief. You begin without one. You announce office hours. You violate them to catch the next wave of approval. The room hears every word and believes none. It believes your behavior. A city that promises walls and keeps them open is a city rehearsing its own invasion. Bitterness gathers where boundaries should be. You rehearse speeches in the shower. You plan clean refusals and deliver soft concessions. You carry resentments like unpaid invoices in your chest. Resentment is not a plan, it is a tax you pay on the courage you refuse to collect. It poisons your tone, and then your work, and then your sleep. You do not need another set of affirmations. You need enforcement. Anger is noise. Law is signal. So draw the line where Machiavelli would between appearance and apparatus. The appearance you curated cannot save you. The apparatus you build can. Name the pivot sentence in language that will not melt, change terms, or be consumed. Not a hashtag, not a tantrum. A sentence that opens and closes gates. A sentence you can enforce on a bad day when your fear is loud and their praise is sweet. A sentence that reads like a hinge turning on oiled metal. Happy to help, here are my terms. Your first test walks in wearing old clothes. Only you can do this now. That used to be your favorite drug. This time you present the rush tier. If urgency is real, the budget aligns. If urgency was theater, the show ends. The next test, we're a little tight. Can you hold the rate from last year? That used to be a trap you decorated with empathy. This time you offer smaller scope at the current price. Watch the clarity burn off the request like fog and sun. A third test, quick call, you send the booking link. If respect remains, it schedules. If pressure remains, it leaves. Do not perform cruelty, perform consistency. The court watches the pattern. 1 calm enforcement changes less than 100 apologies. 3 calm enforcements change how the room speaks to you. The tone you use becomes a street lamp, warm light, visible lines, no drama. The people who wanted your flexibility more than your work will trickle away without a scene. The people who wanted your work will adapt. This is not idealism, it is plumbing. You are redirecting flow. You will slip. You will answer late at night. You will start before the deposit when an old hunger stirs. Correct in daylight. Name the rule you broke, not the sin you committed. I began early. Going forward, work begins at deposit. Here is the invoice. I responded outside office hours. My next reply will be during them. We did an extra round. Here is the scope change. Do not attach shame, attach price. Guilt is a poor currency. Policy is legal tender. The difference after the pivot is not that your life gets lighter. It is that the weight has handles. Before your days were sacks you dragged behind you. Now they are crates you stack. Respect arrives, not as applause, but as logistics. Deposits on time, briefs complete, approvals punctual. Your calendar becomes an instrument you can play instead of a bell. Anyone can ring. Sleep returns the way soldiers return after a long campaign. Not all at once, but steadily until the house feels safe again. Your brand, rarity, rejoins your behavior. Gates. The room stops asking you to be water and begins to navigate by your banks. You stop explaining your value and start living it in visible rhythms. When someone tries the old keys, flattery, urgency, guilt, the lock does not turn. They meet a hinge that resists without heat. You watch your own hands stay still on the keyboard, and you understand you have moved from performance to policy. This is not a rejection of kindness. It is the rescue of it. Kindness without structure dies as resentment. Kindness with structure becomes a resource. You can choose a pro bono slot because you cap the rest. You can extend yourself for a partner who pays and plans because your calendar is not occupied by people who don't. You can be generous without being rated. That is the quiet victory no one posts about. The power to give without the taste of self-betrayal in your mouth. The collapse did not destroy you. It clarified you. It showed you the cost of living by praise, the price of advertising scarcity while practicing abundance, the math that will eat you if you let it. The pivot is not about becoming feared. It is about becoming forecastable. Fear burns hot and short. Forecast bends calendars and keeps budgets honest. You will still be warm. You will still be human, but your doors will close on time. Change the terms or be consumed. Love that never risks loss is only traffic with better lighting. You mistook warmth for loyalty because it smiled while it cut the line. The phrases were velvet, but they were codes for access. Where family did not promise care, it asked for a cheaper route. Your incredible did not honor your craft. It suggested speed without cost. Only you can do this did not lift your name. It tried to erase the gate that protects your hours. None of this requires villains. It requires a road with no tolls. Without price, people drift into you the way water finds the lowest place. Translate the code before it spends you. When someone says, "We're family here," give me a family rate. When someone says, "You're incredible," here, deliver faster than your process allows. When someone says, "Only you here," break your rules to rescue my planning. You do not answer with offense. You answer with terms. Family is scope A at price A. Incredible work takes time for speed. There is a rush fee. If you want me, here is the deposit. And the next opening. Dry lines. Clean tone. The romance dissolves and the logistics stand upright. Look at the scenes you keep forgiving. A founder praises your ownership, then forwards a cheaper quote and asks you to match. A friend calls you our person, then delays payment while you shoulder the launch. A team declares you indispensable, then books you over your day off. These are not declarations of love. They are scripts to move your line. The moment you translate, you stop arguing psychology and start negotiating reality. Codes unlock only if the lock is eager to please. When the lock becomes policy, the key loses power. Risk breeds regard because loss clarifies desire. A seat you could lose is a seat you clean. A time slot you must reserve is a time slot you honor. Without a deposit, you suspend your work on belief. With a deposit, belief is mutual. Without minimums, your hours fragment into favors. With minimums, your day gathers into outcomes. Without deadlines, your drafts float and return to your desk like ghosts. With deadlines and late fees, silence develops a price and attention returns to the living. Install small frictions that teach care. Proposals that expire in 14 days, so decisions don't rot. Deposits to book so urgency shifts from your chest to their calendar. Minimum engagement fees, so work enters through a door and not a window. Revision caps, so one more tweak becomes a choice with weight. Each rule is a modest stone, but together they build a wall strong enough to hold the garden. People walk differently on stone than on mud. They lift their feet, they watch where they step. That is respect in practice. Test the honesty of urgency with price. If the fire is real, the budget moves. If the budget cannot move, the fire becomes a plan. Publish a clear rush matrix. Double for 48 hours, triple for nights and weekends. The matrix is not a threat, it is a mirror. It shows whether the request is mission or habit. You will be surprised how many emergencies resolve themselves when they meet cost, and how many true crises become partnerships when both sides carry weight. Now the ethics. Scarcity has been slandered as cruelty because people resent the gates that reveal their planning. Restraint, rightly used, is stewardship. It protects the land that feeds everyone, your attention, your health, the quality of the result. A garden without a fence becomes a path. A hospital without triage becomes a crowd. A city without zoning becomes noise. Your boundaries are not punishments. They are zoning laws for a life you intend to keep livable. This is moral because it tells the truth about limits. The lie is pretending you can give without cost. Hold a firm, clean tone. You are not ice, you are order. Here are my hours. Here is the scope. Work begins at deposit. Here is the smaller package for your budget. No essays, no autobiography, no confession of how hard it has been. Courtesy at the door, consequences in the hall. When you are consistent, people stop testing and start scheduling. Those who only love the loophole will drift towards softer jurisdictions. Let them. Peace is not purchased by catching every traveler who wanders your road. Generosity remains by design. Offer a scholarship seat with clear criteria and dates. Upgrade a loyal client unannounced because they honor timelines and keep their promises. Send a well-timed referral to someone who aligns with your terms. Your giving becomes stronger because it is not a leak, it is a channel. The difference is visibility. You can point to it, you can repeat it, you can sustain it. That is how kindness survives power. Understand what changed. You stopped treating affection like a contract. Love that never touches price, never meets a gate, never faces the risk of losing you, is not love. It is convenience. Real respect appears where access is earned, cost is felt, and loss is possible. People value what could be taken from them. They step with care when the floor can give way. They write clean briefs when time has a toll. They pay on time when starting depends on it. They become better partners because the structure makes them so. You will still hear the old songs, "You're incredible," "We're family," "Only you." You will nod warm and then present the terms that let you keep both your work and your word. They will either accept and rise or decline and leave. Either outcome is victory. You replace crowds with allies, apologies with schedules, and drama with results. you become forecastable, and forecastable people bend calendars, budgets, and behavior. Keep your smile, but let it sit on steel. Keep your welcome, but let it open on hinges that hold. Keep your heart, but let your hands guard what allows it to remain open. This is not about being feared, it is about being legible. When you are legible, the right people find you, and the wrong people find the door. Keep the warmth, raise the cost. He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command. You will not bargain with the wound, you will govern it. Feeling asks for applause. Policy asks for order. Build a status system, polite to the eye, steel in the frame. Not a mood, a map, not a speech, a schedule. You are constructing a small state, and states survive by gates, prices, and cadence. Begin with the law of gates. Publish the roads into your city and close the alleys that invite theft. Email over DMs for scope. Bookings over got a sec for calls. Text reserved for true emergencies. And emergencies have a fee. Set office hours like tides. And keep them like vows. Mornings for building, afternoons for replies, evenings for living. Put it in writing where anyone can see it. A rule no one can find is a rumor you cannot enforce. Define response windows by tier so the court knows where they stand. Retainers, 1 business day. Active projects, 48 hours. New inquiries, weekly review. This is not arrogance, it is architecture. When people know the hour, they plan. When they guess, they press. A front desk, assistant, form, or autoresponder turns chaos into labeled requests before they touch your calendar. The message is ceremonial and short. Thank you. Here is the intake. Here are my hours. Warm tone, clean lines. The courtesy is real. The hinge is firm. Work begins at deposit, not praise. Retainers convert erratic dependency into predictable responsibility. They stop the late-night quick question from becoming an unpaid habit. Scope documents are your border treaty. Draft them in plain language, deliverables, deadlines, revision caps, out-of-scope triggers, pause and restart rules. If someone resists clarity, they were planning to raid you. Let them seek softer walls. Codify exceptions so they cannot ambush you. Rush exists, price it. Weekend responses exist, price them more. After-hours calls exist. Triple the rate and halve the length. Scope changes appear, give them a form, a clock, and an invoice. Keep scripts ready. Happy to help. Here is the scope change and fee. I reply during office hours for urgency. Choose a rush option. To reserve your slot, place the deposit here. Scripts are not stiffness, they are armor that moves. Now, price as signal. In courts and markets, words are ceremony. Price is truth. Set floors that reflect the value you create on a quiet day, not the flattery you receive on a loud one. Publish a minimum engagement. If the budget is smaller, the package is smaller, never you. Offer 3 tiers that trade scope, speed, and access for price. Anchor them so the middle is the natural choice, and the bespoke tier lives behind a paid consultation. You are not haggling, you are arranging. Urgency is not a feeling, it is a rate. Make a rush matrix visible and universal. 2 times for 48 hours, 3 times for nights and weekends, 5 times for same-day rescue. Apply it evenly to friends, founders, and strangers. When the true fire burns, budgets move. When the fire is habit, it dies in the light of cost. Without price, you donate adrenaline. With price, you allocate attention. Penalize drift, so the machine stays aligned. Mailstone approvals due in 5 business days. Beyond that, a holding fee, 10 business days of silence, triggers a pause and a restart charge, not punishment. Physics. Momentum without consequence is a rumor. Momentum with consequence is a plan. A client who learns your time has gravity, treats it as such. A client who refuses gravity is not a villain. They are a mismatch you no longer have to carry. Keep the menu clean. Too low announces uncertainty. Too erratic announces desperation. Round numbers, few variants, 1 rush matrix. A short list of add-ons. Remember the single lawful trade, scope, speed, and access for price. Never dignity. Visibility is not currency. Kind words are not collateral. If someone offers either, answer in your native tongue. Here are my rates. Now orchestrate the cadence of appearance. Rarity is not a slogan, it is a calendar. Stage your presence like a season. 2 launches per year. Applications open for 7 days. Close on a date, seats capped, count real. Announce the number. Do not inflate it. Scarcity without math is a trick. Scarcity with math is a market. Offer early windows to your list. Maintain a true wait list that sometimes yields a single seat, never a floodgate. People will learn your rhythm and organize around you. Cap inventory everywhere. A fixed number of clients per quarter. A strict ceiling on retainer hours. A finite count of strategy calls per month. Publish the caps and maintain a live counter on your booking page. When the cap is reached, the gate closes with ceremony, not apology. Doors reopen on the first Monday next quarter. A bell rings. The city sleeps. Design a weekly choreography that protects your best work. Monday, creation. Tuesday, delivery. Wednesday, admin and decisions. Thursday, calls and sales. Friday, review and refusal. The rules you will keep and the requests you will decline. Guard white space like farmland. It feeds everything else. Your calendar is not a billboard for other people's urgency. It is a constitution that keeps the state from dissolving into favors. Appear publicly with intent. Case studies at quarter's end, not as apology for silence. Essays on schedule, not in panic. Interviews rarely, then make them tight. When you show up, arrive overqualified. When you disappear, leave behind a clear path to reach you next time. The court respects the sovereign who arrives with outcomes and departs on time. Expect tests. Old keys will rattle at new locks. A friend texts, quick call, during dinner. The reflex reaches for yes. Your law answers, here's my booking link. Tomorrow at 4 p.m. or Friday at 11 a.m. A founder says, only you can do this by Monday. Your law answers, here's the rush rate. Happy to proceed on deposit. A team asks for one more tiny tweak. Your law answers, we've reached the cap, here's the scope change. Warm voice, firm gate, no essay, no heat. Law moves faster than guilt when you let it. Audit your government quarterly. Tighten what leaks, loosen what chokes. If a rule creates more friction than value, rewrite it. If a hole invites abuse, close it with a line you can repeat during a storm. Statecraft is maintenance. Name for laws you can keep on your worst day, not only your best. You are not building a cage, you are building a harbor. Generosity remains by design. A scholarship seat with clear criteria and dates. A surprise upgrade for partners who pay on time and deliver clean briefs. A pro bono project inside a defined program with real scope and a schedule. Reward behavior that strengthens the state. Do not fund chaos with your sleep. Kindness becomes stronger when it travels on rails. In time, the wound will tug and the statute will answer. Praise arrives. You thank it and present terms. Urgency arrives. You present the matrix. Friendship arrives. You honor it without turning it into a coupon. Your days begin to sound like a procession instead of a stampede. Money lands when it should. Work deepens. Sleep returns. You do not explain your worth. Your infrastructure displays it. This is not about being feared. It is about being forecastable. Forecast bends calendars. Calendars bend budgets. Budgets bend behavior. The status system gates, prices, cadence, quietly says what speeches never can. Your time as a country and entry is by law. Those who value the work will learn the customs. Those who love the loophole will travel elsewhere. Either way, you win the peace. Be warm at the door and law in the hall. Peace is not a mood. It is a government that runs on time. You wake to a calendar with edges. The hours have jobs. Your phone lights, and you do not brace. There is a gate at the start of your day and a bell at the end. Deposits arrived yesterday, which means the work begins today without apology theater. Your brain is not a siren. It is a lighthouse. You do not perform calm, you practice it. The inner republic, once ruled by panic and charm, now moves by simple law. Deep work returns like a tide you can predict. You sit longer with one problem than you used to sit with 10. Output becomes cleaner. Fewer revisions, better results. You are not colder, you are readable. Sleep steadies because the court understands your hours. They meet you inside them. Night is no longer an inbox with blue light and bargaining. Night is night. Recovery stops being an accident and becomes a policy. The morning greets you like a well-run city, streets swept, guards alert, a list of tasks that serve a purpose instead of a panic. You will still face weather, delays, surprises, the occasional fire, but the hoses are coiled, the hydrants mapped, and the price to break the glass is public. Chaos is now expensive, and so it visits less. Money lands on schedule, not because people grew kinder, but because your customs are posted and enforced. Work begins at deposit. Invoices carry dates and teeth you don't chase. The process moves, a ledge inside you, once worn thin by extensions and excuses, thickens again. You are funded by agreements, not flattery. That calm shows in your face. Clients notice, partners notice, you notice. The room is smaller now, and better. Allies, not supplicants. The right people lean in when the gate is real. They bring briefs that read like maps. They book ahead and arrive prepared. They understand that your speed is purchased honestly, not pride from guilt. The wrong people drift out without drama. They were attached to your panic, not your product. Let them find roads that match their urgency and their budget. Do not chase. A sovereign who chases deserters abandons the capital. You see the difference in tiny moments. A founder reads your rush matrix and moves their timeline instead. A team misses an approval window and accepts the restart fee without a scene. A friend asks for a favor and takes the smaller scope without pushing your price. These are not miracles. They are the natural results of a system that does not flinch. Loyalty becomes selective and therefore strong. You trade the crowd for a cohort that keeps its word. The city grows slow and sturdy. Ambition changes shape under this quiet. You stop hunting noise and begin stockpiling assets. Systems, libraries, relationships that compound. You choose projects that outlive the news cycle. You appear by schedule and disappear to build. When you return, you bring results that do not need to beg for attention. The market stops asking if you are available and starts asking when you open. Power here is not volume, it is rhythm. Hold your posture. Warm at the door, law in the hall. When praise arrives, thank it and show terms. When urgency knocks, present the rate. When nostalgia tries to drag you back to the era of exceptions, answer with a calendar and a price. None of this requires a raised voice. Ceremony does the heavy lifting. Repetition makes it culture. Culture makes it easy. You will still slip. You will still say yes too fast on a tired day. Amend, don't punish. I started early. Going forward, work begins at deposit. I replied after hours. Next reply during office time. One calm correction teaches more than a week of speeches. The court reads your consistency, not your captions. The quiet you protect becomes a workshop for better work and a harbor for better people. It is less exciting than the old chaos and far more satisfying. You feel time again. You feel standards again. You feel like someone who can be trusted because you are someone who keeps their own law. That trust is the real status move, the one they never teach, because it can't be faked and it can't be borrowed. It is built. Keep the bell, keep the gate, keep the smile that opens onto hinges that hold. The peace you wanted was never in their opinions, it was in your enforcement. Be loved if you can, be respected if you must be needed. Never.